Hey guys, today we are talking about bivalves. I am talking about bivalves and whether or not they are vegan. And bivalvia or bivalves is a class of mollusks that includes oysters, mussels, scallops, clams, etc. And according to the strict definition of vegan, which is nothing of or from an animal, eating bivalves like oysters would not be vegan because they are animals. But as I talked about in my previous videos, do insects feel pain and is honey vegan? Adhering to this strict definition of vegan just because is, I think, irrational and kind of silly. The real point is suffering, and if there is an animal that doesn't suffer, like sponges, which have no nervous system and cannot feel pain, what is the point of including them in the vegan definition? To me, there is no point other than to say that 100% you are a strict vegan, I guess. If an animal doesn't feel pain, I don't see any point in including it. So now back to bivalves. The question really shouldn't be, is it vegan? Because I know based on the strict definition, it's not vegan, I get it. I think the question should really be, do bivalves feel pain? According to Diana Fleischman, evolutionary psychologist and ostrovegan, as she has termed it, I believe it's her term, which is a vegan who eats oysters, certain bivalves, like oysters and mussels, do not have the hardware to feel pain. Because they have no brain or central processing unit for stimuli, there is no there. Just like a disembodied figure, there is no place for sensations to be aggregated into responses or changes in adaptive decision making. However, she does give other bivalves like scallops and clams the benefit of the doubt, as she says, because they can swim, they have eyes, they are more cognitively sophisticated. So ultimately, she thinks that oysters and mussels should be included in a vegan diet because, again, they don't feel pain. Mark Beckoff, Professor Emeritus of Ecology and Evolutionary Biology at the University of Colorado, disagrees. For all we know, oysters might feel pain. For a long time, people thought fish didn't feel pain, but we now know that isn't so. We should give animals the benefit of the doubt. He also worries that allowing bivalves like oysters on a vegan diet will lead to a slippery slope that conveniently expands the range of animals we eat because we don't know for sure they feel pain. So who's right? Well, Beckoff is right that we don't know for sure if oysters feel pain. We don't know for sure if any animal or being feels pain other than our own individual selves. It's the same with the insect with the bee issues that I discussed in my insect video. We don't know for sure if insects feel pain. There's a little bit of evidence, but the overwhelming majority of the evidence says that they probably don't. With insects, there's scant evidence that they may experience, at least some insects may experience something beyond nociception, like the bee pessimism study. With oysters, no studies, no evidence like that exists. Couple that with the fact that they have no brain, only a very, very simple nervous system, and I'm personally comfortable treating oysters and mussels as though they don't feel pain. Is that hypocritical? Is it hypocritical of me to say, treat insects, or for me personally, I'm not really commanding anything for y'all, but for me personally, is it hypocritical to say to myself, well, I should treat insects as though they do, but I should treat oysters as though they don't, even though in both cases I don't really know for sure? Well, I guess I would argue that technically we don't know for sure that plants don't feel pain. As Beckoff says, if in the future we learn that some plants are sentient, we will have to change our ways. In the meantime, though, he has no problem consuming plants. And couldn't you say the same about oysters and even insects? Couldn't you say that if the evidence ever comes out that these creatures do in fact experience pain, then we'll change our ways? And as far as the slippery slope issue goes, I'm personally not concerned with that. I think that the people who would see oysters are vegan and take that to mean beef is vegan are probably looking for an excuse to eat meat, and will probably end up doing that anyway. I don't think saying oysters are vegan is going to be the thing that makes them go back to animals. They'd probably do that anyway. Also, I think it's important to note that some may find eating oysters to be a sustainable way to stay vegan. As I talked in my ex-vegan video, ex-vegans are a thing, and they may be a thing perhaps because vegans tend to be pretty strict and uncompromising. So when someone struggles on a vegan diet, instead of trying to make it work, either in a vegan way or maybe compromising to some degree, they may, swing the other way completely and start eating animals that we are very, very sure feel pain. What if instead the ostrovegan way were presented? Wouldn't this be a much better option than eating beef, eating cow, eating pig, or even eggs or dairy? As Diana writes, mussels and oysters are most often farmed in a way that doesn't involve harm to other sentient beings. I'm not saying that many would latch on to eating oysters. I don't think many would at all. But I think presenting ostroveganism, presenting oysters and mussels and sponges and any other animal that we are very, very certain doesn't feel pain as an option, I think is a way to further educate people about animals in pain and also perhaps help to ameliorate the perception of vegans, which is a perception, let's be honest, it's not good. So that's my view of bivalves, specifically oysters and mussels. There's no evidence that they feel pain, so I have no problem including them in the vegan definition. If vegans want to call themselves vegans and they eat oysters and mussels, I personally have no problem with that. Granted, I have no intention of eating them myself, so it's not really a decision that makes a difference in my own life. So I'm definitely open to the opposing viewpoint. Animal liberation author, philosopher himself, Peter Singer, has gone back and forth regarding this issue over the years. And he writes that perhaps there is a scintilla more doubt about whether oysters can feel pain than there is about plants. But I'd see it as extremely improbable. So while you could give them the benefit of the doubt, you could also say that unless some new evidence of a capacity for pain emerges, the doubt is so slight that there is no good reason for avoiding eating sustainably produced oysters. So, what do you think? What do you think about the bivalve issue? Do you consider them vegan? Do you not consider them vegan? Do you not really care? Let me know, and let me know why. It's interesting, and again, I'm open to both sides really. And ultimately, for me, it's more of an issue of, again, talking about pain and talking about vegans in general. Because for me, I have no desire to eat oysters. I've never eaten an oyster in my life. I've never been a fan of seafood. It's absolutely disgusting to me. So it doesn't really affect me personally, but I think it is an important issue to talk about, again, about pain and about nociception and about the evidence that we do have regarding invertebrates especially, and pain, and just the vegan movement in general, and how militant we can be, I think, and sometimes militant to a fault. Again, I think it's important to stand for what you believe in and be honest and open about it. But I also think it can be damaging to a movement that ultimately we want less animals to be hurt. And a way we can do that is by encouraging other people to join us. Join us, yes. And I think it's hard to do that when you have strict definitions that don't really apply, so to speak, in the real world. Again, if you say vegan is nothing other from an animal, well, that includes sponges, which they have nothing. They have no way of feeling pain whatsoever. And so anyone who delves that deep into the issue may stop and say, oh, wait, that's kind of silly. And it may turn people off. That's all I'm saying. So I just think it's important to talk about these things, even if, again, if you, like me, have no desire to eat oysters ever in your life, it's still important to talk about. And of course, the ex-vegan issue as well. Hey, it may help some people, because oysters, they're good sources of B12 and D and stuff like that. And some people are really adverse to taking supplements. They want to get it in a more natural package, quote unquote, from an actual natural thing instead of supplements. Anyway, that's it. Again, please share your comments below. If you like this kind of thing, please be sure to subscribe. And yeah, I will have a new video tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. This car, waiting for the car.